Hello, I am Tom Whitaker, the Program and Events Manager for the Sterling Heights Regional Chamber of Commerce. On behalf of all of our members, our directors, and our staff, we are very grateful for the opportunity to present today's City Council Candidate Forum. I will serve as the moderator, and I'll be asking all of the questions that were prepared by our media representatives. At this time, I would like to introduce the candidates for our council in alphabetical order. We have Eric Briskley, Russ Cleary, Elizabeth Hanna, Deanna Koski, Michael Radke, Maria Schmidt, Liz Swarowski, Moira Smith, Roy Wilson, Henry Yanez, and Barbara Ziarko. I want to thank all of you for your great desire to serve this community. Each candidate will be given 2 minutes today for a personal introduction. Names will be drawn to determine the order. I will draw a name, and then we'll proceed down the alphabet and then back to the top if we need to. When a name is drawn, that person will respond, and we'll continue down until all candidates have had the opportunity to respond. Following the introductions, we will begin the questioning. Each candidate will again have up to 2 minutes to respond. Names will be drawn to determine the order, and we will proceed the same way, alphabetically, down the list, back to the top if we need. The number of questions asked today will be determined by the available time, and then each question will be randomly drawn as well. Following our Q&A, each candidate will be given a 2 minutes to give their final statement as to why they should be elected or re-elected. Terry Stabnick from the Chamber, who works with me, will be our timekeeper today. When you are at a minute and a half, so you have 30 seconds remain, Terry will put her hand up. You have 30 seconds left. When you get to your 2 minutes, Terry will stand. It's not a hard, fast stop, but I would appreciate if you just finished your current thought. We'll move on. There's a lot of you, and we'd like to answer as many questions as possible today. So we thank all of you for participating today, and we definitely ask our audience members to, we thank the candidates for participating today and our audience members for attending. We ask both our audience as well as our candidates to please refrain from applause, cheers, heckling, or any other unacceptable behavior. Our intent today is solely to provide the citizens of Sterling Heights an opportunity to know where the candidates stand on these important matters. So please, if everyone could remain respectful, silence your phones, no interruptions. Candidates, you'll all have opportunities to speak, and the audience, if you could just please remain quiet. So due to the number of candidates we have today, we're expecting this forum will last approximately 2 hours. So thank you all for your attention. Now let's begin with the personal introductions. You will each have 2 minutes. I'm going to draw a name. Michael Radke. If you could start, you'll have 2 minutes for your introduction, and then we'll proceed alphabetically. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Michael Radke. I'm a member of the City Council. I've served since 2017. I want to thank the audience for attending and the Chamber for hosting this wonderful forum. I'm running for re-election on a platform of hiring more police officers, protecting the fire department from cuts, better code enforcement, and creating a city for everyone. Now, what does that mean? A city for everyone. I've lived here now for almost 25 years. I grew up in the city of Detroit. I'm not an original Sterling Heights resident. I moved here when I was 12, about to turn 13, going into middle school. I went to Carleton Middle School and Cosno High School, University of Michigan. And to me, Sterling Heights has always been a welcoming place. It welcomed my family here after we left Detroit. And why did we leave Detroit? My mother was mugged in our driveway. If you don't feel safe and secure in your homes, if you don't have good schools, you don't have a community worth living in. And one thing I'm very proud of is our time here in Sterling Heights. We have built a tremendous police department. We have a tremendous fire department. We have a recreating recreation program, which has led to not just new residents, but me seeing my neighbors at the park every Thursday. I'm proud of all the accomplishments, and I would urge the voters to re-elect me, return me to office, so we can continue on all the success and build on some of the ideas I've put forward.
Thank you. Maria?
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Maria Schmidt. It's been my honor and pleasure to serve the residents of our fine community for the past almost 19 years. I've been a resident and homeowner for 27 years, and I am married for the past 28 years to my husband, Bob, who is raised and has continued to live in Sterling Heights most of his life. We have 2 adult children, Jordan, who is in a skilled trades apprenticeship program, and my daughter, Natalie, who is pursuing a degree in social work at Saginaw Valley State University. I currently work full-time as a vocational education paraprofessional in the health science program at the Career Prep Center for Warren Consolidated Schools, and I'm a certified American Heart Association CPR instructor. We're members of St. Malachy and St. Barbara Catholic Churches, and I'm a member of the Michigan Occupational Special Populations Association Executive Board. This group of professionals in education work to improve their programs for the students of special populations across the state. I also serve on the Health Advisory Board for the Warren Consolidated School District. In my free time, I enjoy volunteering for the Children's Tumor Foundation of Michigan, American Heart Association, and in the past, St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital, the National Kidney Foundation, McCrest, and the American Cancer Society. I'm a graduate of Bishop Foley High School, Southeast Oakland Vocational Center, and attended Oakland Community College. I would like to thank the Chamber for hosting the Meet the Candidates Forum this morning and giving the residents the opportunity to be more informed before they cast their vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Liz?
Yes, good morning, everyone. My name is Liz Swarowski. I am currently the Mayor Pro Tem on City Council, and I have been on the council since 2016. I am married to my husband, Judge Steve Swarowski, and we live in Sterling Heights. We have lived here for 28 years. We have 4 children, all boys. The oldest is one of twins, Patrick. He is a Macomb County prosecutor here in Michigan, of course. My other son, Tony, he is a major in the United States Marine Corps. He is married to my lovely daughter-in-law, Shawnee, and we have a granddaughter, Katie, who is 5, the joy of my life. They live in San Diego at this moment. My other son, Steven, is a musician, a drummer, and a guitar player, graduated from the University of Western Michigan, excuse me, and he is a wine distributor. And my youngest son, Steven, goes to Michigan State, Go Green, where I'm an alumna, and he is pursuing both a JD and will be going to law school, and we'll have another lawyer in the family. My job and what I do and what I love is I am a director of nursing at Beaumont Home Care, and that is my passion. My dream has always been to be a nurse, to take care of people, and that is what I continue to do. I really enjoy what I do every single day. That is why I am serving the community here in Sterling Heights. I love to take care of people. My goal is to always be here for you, to help you in whatever you need. So please always reach out to me. My number is always available to you, and I'm always available to you. And thank you again for putting your trust in me as your council person.
Thank you, Liz. Your 2-minute introduction, Moira.
Thank you. I am Moira Smith. I'm a new conservative candidate for the City Council. Unlike the entrenched incumbents, I haven't occupied a seat for 20 to 30 years. I offer my services to the property owners and taxpayers who have built our city. I don't need or want this job for personal enrichment or career advancement. I am not an incumbent. I do not claim to own a council seat as a permanent entitlement. I am a native Michigander. My father was an elected St. Clair County Board of Commissioner after he retired from his self-made job as in his own business. I graduated as a Bachelor of Science from Western Michigan University. I've been a Sterling Heights property owner, taxpayer, voter, and citizen since 1978. I am a UAW retiree. When elected, I will be the first UAW retiree to hold office in the council since the passing of Mayor Noddy. I've always been interested and involved and well-informed on all levels of government, national, state, county, city, and precinct levels. I became seriously interested in Sterling Heights government 10 years ago when the council and the city manager unleashed a powerful sell job to force through the initial 18% tax hike. This proved to be only the first of 5 tax increases that they levied against the people in this decade. Each tax increase led to a lavish spending spree, followed by the next tax hike. They have increased city tax burden by 70% in this 10 years alone. When elected, I will use my influence to end lavish spending, higher taxation, and disastrous bond sales. A bond is a time bomb that will explode in the near future and ultimately take all the city's income.
Thank you. Roy, your 2 minutes, please.
I'm going to title this as Questions and Lament from a Longtime Taxpayer. I have enjoyed living in the city for 50 years. I knew Dick Noddy while at the Mound Road plant. My wife of 57 years and I moved here in 71. The city was safe, had good schools, and I was close to work. The item that brought me into this fray was the big O on Hall Road that cost the citizens of the city $380,000. That money could have and should have been used to improve a street or replace neighborhood sidewalks. And what golden corridor? The structure itself is the joke of the region, if not the country. And what is golden about Lakeside Mall? Partridge Creek is in trouble. What's golden about that? The city will not realize any significant revenue from the lakeside property for years. The same could be said for Partridge Creek if it floundered. City spending is the real problem for me. Most citizens don't know that the city is in debt over $200 million, a huge number. Has council voted any of Vanderpool's expenditure requests down? Why did the council agree to a $30,000 raise for Mr. Vanderpool? And do citizens realize that Mr. Vanderpool makes more than our governor? New developments within the city generate more revenue. More revenue should equate to lower taxes, but not here. The city takes in more money and the city spends more money. More spending relates to more debt. And when did a balanced budget become a negative term? The non-current liabilities, and that is debt that is due in the future, is over $476 million. Our city government is out of control with spending. If you want higher taxes and more debt, keep the rubber stamp council that you've got, and you'll get what you want.
Thank you, Roy.
You bet.
2 minutes, Henry.
Very good, thank you. My name is Henry Yanez, and I am an incumbent. I currently sit on Sterling Heights City Council. And first, I want to say thank you to the Chamber for hosting this event. I was appointed to City Council in 2019, and later that year, I won an election and then one subsequent election in November 2019, excuse me. Prior to that, I was state representative representing the 25th House District, Sterling Heights and Warren, for 3 terms in Lansing, and then prior to that, I was a Sterling Heights firefighter paramedic starting in 1995. I'm married to my wife, Jane. I have 2 children, Ryan and Allison. I have 4 adorable grandchildren. That's not up for debate, by the way. I lived a life of public service. I currently volunteer for Meals on Wheels, the Clinton River Watershed Council, and recently I was asked to sit on the board for the reconstituted Autism Society of Michigan. My goal, should I be reelected to City Council, is to make sure that we provide the best possible customer service. And ironically, during the mayoral debate, I got a phone call from a citizen who had an issue that needs to be resolved right away. So it never stops, and that's okay with me. I frankly enjoy that part of the job. That's the most enjoyable part of the job. But I do want to continue to a goal of great public service, commitment to community, and to make sure that we spend our money wisely and we have a great and growing city into the future. Thank you.
Thank you. 2-minute introduction, Barbara.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Barb Zarko. and I'm proudly serving in my 20th year on the Sterling Heights City Council. I became a resident and homeowner in Sterling Heights 44 years ago when I married my husband, Tom. Tom was a Chrysler retiree, and we were married for 36.5 years until his death in 2014. My daughter, Stacy, is president and CEO of the Sterling Heights Regional Chamber of Commerce. I have an associate's degree from Macomb Community College, and I have been an active member of St. Blaise Catholic Community since 1977. I am retired from working 27 years at St. Anne Parish and School in Warren and St. Blaise Parish in Sterling Heights. I've served as president of the Regina High School Board of Directors. I've been a local volunteer for the St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, Care of Southeast Michigan, THAW, the Heath and War Fund, the Pope Francis Center located in Detroit that serves the homeless, and most recently the Sterling Heights Vaccination Center. I'm a member of the Friends of the Sterling Heights Library and the American Polish Century Club Ladies Auxiliary. In addition, I served as president of our Homeowners Association, and I'm still proud to say I was a Girl Scout leader, and hopefully I influenced young women to take a leadership role in their futures as well. I was recently selected as vice president of the Michigan Municipal League Board of Trustees, and I look forward to representing the Sterling Heights and working with other communities on the state level. I feel my personal lifestyle reflects that I am a woman of service. The many volunteer positions that I've held have prepared me to work with many individuals to reach a common goal with cooperation, compromise, and respect. I'm grateful for the opportunity to introduce myself again to our community, proud to serve the residents of Sterling Heights, and I'm thankful to the Chamber for sponsoring this event.
Thank you. A 2-minute introduction. We will head to Eric.
Thank you. My name is Eric Brisky. I am a 20-year resident of Sterling Heights, where my wife and I have been living here with our 2 children, who both attended and graduated Utica Community Schools. My daughter is currently studying in education and should graduate next year and then serve in the Macomb Intermediate School District along with her mother. I'm a member of Christ Lutheran Church in Sterling Heights, where I've served on their church council multiple terms. I also serve on their Board of Property Management, and I've also served as their call committee for a recent pastor, and I also served as a chair on that call committee. I'm just a concerned resident who's over the past few years have seen our spending in the city go a little too out of control. We have a beautiful city. I love this city. I want to stay in this city. My wife wants to stay here. We want our kids to, when they move on, come back to this city, and we want our grandkids here. I don't want my city to be unsafe. I love these parks. They're gorgeous. My daughter has spent many hours in the Parks and Recreation program, and it has been a wonderful experience, and I want to keep this stuff going. But we got to keep our spending in line. That's a big problem in this city. As I walk the neighborhoods over the past few months talking to different residents, all these things came up. These things are concerning to them. They're concerned about their tax rates. They're concerned about their water rates. They're concerned about these things. And they don't want to lose their homes or be forced to move their community away from their favorite community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Your 2-minute introduction, Russ.
Hi, everyone. I would personally like to thank the Sterling Heights Regional Chamber of Commerce along with Tom Whitaker for helping make this happen, as well as Sterling Heights TV. I would also like to thank those who submitted questions to the candidates. And I additionally would like to thank the citizens who take the time to watch this. I think a public forum like this is key to learning who our candidates are and who we may be electing on November 2nd this year. And I think it's key to providing our voters with the information on what direction these candidates want to see Sterling Heights in a direction beyond 2021. My name is Russ Cleary. I am a young, albeit still a lifelong resident here in Sterling Heights, who has just made the decision recently to serve our great community. It began about a decade ago. I kind of explored the idea of being a public servant, whether that was elected or working in any other offices. But then that kind of trickled down to where we are today, serving on the Sterling Heights City Council. last year into this year is where I really dove into how our city runs and where I learned what great things our city can do. And that is when I made my decision to run for Sterling Heights City Council. And now let me be clear, this is not for personal gain. This is because my concerned neighbors have shared their frustration and where they did not feel they have a voice on city council. My neighbors, my friends, even strangers in different areas had issues and problems, went to their elected officials, and then were brushed off when the election was over. Believe me, this is not to end or not to start on a negative tone, but it just needs to be said and addressed. So here I am today, a young individual willing to put myself on the line for my neighbors, willing to do whatever it takes to build Sterling Heights back to where it needs to be, which is financially sound, a family-oriented city, while also encouraging businesses to bring their new facilities and new jobs to Sterling Heights. Again, my name is Russ Cleary, and I am running for Sterling Heights City Council.
Thank you, Russ. A 2-minute introduction, Elizabeth.
Good morning. My name is Elizabeth Hanna. First, I would like to thank the volunteers, supporters, and friends for all the help I have been receiving, because without them I wouldn't be here. I was born in Poland. I have been homeowner, a resident of Sterling Heights for over 40 years. I became American citizen in 1982. I have been married close to 50 years, and we have 2 sons. One graduated from University of Michigan, and the younger one from Oakland University. When I came to this country, I knew only a few words in English. I was working full-time and going to college at night. I graduated from Oakland University with BS in chemistry. Also, I am certified quality engineer and Six Sigma black belt. I work as a quality professional in automotive industry, and now I am retired. For over 15 years, I volunteered for professional society, where I was elected to chair position of different committees, and finally I became a chair. At Jeanette Middle School, I was a coach of several different science Olympiad teams, plus I was helping with math counts competition and assisting students with their algebra and science homework. For over 10 years also, when my son danced in Polish group, I was actively supporting the group's activity in different capacity. I am one of the founding members of Polish American Cultural Center in Troy. Thank you to the Chamber of Commerce for having this event. I timed it.
Thank you for timing it. I appreciate you. Very nice. The last introduction, 2 minutes, Deanna, please.
Thank you, Tom. Good morning. My name is Deanna Koski. My husband is Dennis. We have 3 sons, a daughter-in-law, and 5 grandchildren that live in Sterling Heights. I have an associate broker's license and a title insurance agent's license. I graduated from MML Elected Officials Academy Level 1, 2, and 3. I also have an associate degree as a legal assistant. We moved to Sterling Heights in 1969, a year after the city became a city, a new city with a great school system, Warren Consolidated Schools. My work career included working as a mortgage counselor and closer, real estate associate broker, closing broker, and an escrow officer for a number of title insurance companies. Because of my work experience, I was invited to serve on the Board of Review and then asked if I would consider running for council. I was elected to City Council in 1989. I consider it an honor and a privilege to have been a part of the growth of this fine city. The city motto is to strive on behalf of all. I believe listening to the residents, asking for their input, taking surveys, holding town hall meetings, council meeting communication, to learn how they want their city to develop. The goal was to make Sterling Heights the best place to live, work, and play. To educate myself to better serve the residents, I have served on a number of committees through National League of Cities, the Public Safety Crime Convention Steering Committee, and as president of Women in Municipal Government. through MML, the Legislative Committee, Public Safety, Board of Directors for the trustee as on the Board of Directors. Thank you, Chamber, for holding this forum today.
Thank you very much. At this point, we will move on to our question and answer portion. Quick reminder, the same way we did, I will draw a candidate's name, then I will draw a question. We will start with that candidate, proceed alphabetically. You'll have 2 minutes, and Terry will stand when your time is up. If you could quickly finish your thought, we can continue so we can get through as many questions for our voters today. So the first question will go to Henry. Your question is? Okay, so often the subject of residential complaints, the Michigan law regarding consumer fireworks and the increased levels of noise that they bring is a common topic of debate. If anything, what approach should the city take to alleviate the noise problem that is associated with fireworks? Henry?
So this is interesting because when this law passed when I was in state legislature, and I've worked, well, first of all, I heard a lot from the citizens, veterans with PTSD, pet owners whose animals would go crazy when these things were going off. I worked diligently in Lansing trying to not get this law passed, and once it got passed, to get it reduced so it has less impact on the citizens. What you can do here locally is really very difficult. The police tell me it's like ghosts, right? You got someone that blows off fireworks and someone calls 911 by the time police show up, because this is not really a high risk sort of run. It kind of goes down the bottom of the list, but by the time they get there, nobody's around. And so it's like a dog chasing its tail. You know, certainly the city has a noise ordinance already in place. We can apply that noise ordinance to that, but we are working underneath the state law. And unfortunately, the state law is not in favor of citizens who like peace and quiet. So the best thing that we can do at this point, I think, short of asking the state legislature to repeal the law, is to try to do as best we can, work with our local businesses that sell fireworks, and try to educate the citizens to make sure that they are responsive and to their neighbors.
Thank you. Pose the same question to Barbara.
Thank you. It goes without saying that we do get complaints from residents regarding the fireworks. However, there's limited things that we can do actually here in the city. And that's because state law takes precedence over anything that we would decide to do. So we can go along with what the state says and modify things, certainly give our police and fire departments the resources that they need to react to these different events. But those are things we can do, and probably what we should be concentrating on what we can do instead of what we can't do. But I understand their concerns. I talk to people that they're seniors, young children, people with dogs, and without saying the veterans that we have in our community that are suffering PTSD, and these fireworks just bring on a lot of memories that they don't want to surface again. I think that I would still like to lobby our state legislature to put in some more changes to make this a more reasonable, I guess, an event. There are some holidays that they permit these fireworks that I think really aren't reasons to celebrate. So I'm still would be in favor of you know, having some kind of correspondence with our state legislators to make more changes in this law. And I think about, and I have to agree with my colleague that we are chasing this. I mean, it's usually after the fact that we get notification that there are fireworks going on. We can't have a police officer at every street corner and reacting to what's illegal. So I think, you know, we have to, as residents of the city, actually monitor ourselves, talk to our neighbors, and that's one thing that we can do to make this a better situation.
Thank you. Pose the same question to Eric.
Thank you. Well, I think the first thing we should do is, as a council, we definitely should go to the state and see about modifying this law to give it, the cities and townships more jurisdiction over the control of the sale and distribution and then use of these fireworks, because this is a common problem. This is a big complaint. I've heard about it many times just walking around talking to people. But as I read the law, there's not much that the city can do currently, but maybe it's a possibility that we could increase some patrols on those nights to kind of help, again, get us police presence out there and even other things. But until the state law allows the townships or cities to be more stringent, there's not a whole lot that we can do at this time. So we would have to start lobbying them and lobbying them hard. And since we're a very large city, I think they should listen to us, because right now we're currently the 4th largest city in the state. So we should be up in Lansing constantly talking about this stuff.
Thank you. I'll repeat the question. So it's often the subject of resident complaints and the Michigan law regarding consumer fireworks and the increased levels of noise. It's a common topic of debate here in the city. So if anything, what approach should the city take to alleviate the noise problem associated with fireworks? Russ, 2 minutes, please.
Yeah, so thank you for that question. I think the first thing we need to realize is that we need to be proactive rather than reactive. And now I will reiterate what everybody has already said about the fact that the state law makes it where we cannot do much. However, we have the ability to go meet with our state legislators. However, it doesn't just have to be our own state legislators, so we can meet with somebody other than Representative Nate Shannon. We need to find somebody in the State House or in the State Senate willing to put a bill to the floor and try to amend that law a little bit. You know, whether it's being more restrictive with the time or being more restrictive with the amount of fireworks you can buy at once. However, at the same time, there is a large portion of our city who still does and will continue to use fireworks. So we have to respect both sides to that issue. Additionally, the point about the police officers getting 911 calls saying, talking about these issues and then going out there and then the individuals are gone. The way to fix that is potentially giving our police a little bit more resources, whatever they might need, to have more intense patrols on the nights that are a little bit more active with fireworks. So days like 4th of July, where we're being proactive rather than reactive. We're out there already instead of responding just to calls. And I'm sure there are ways to figure out the areas that have more firework usage and more 911 calls. And maybe we have more patrols, even if it's 1 or 2 more, we may see a positive difference and be able to fix that issue to protect those who struggle with this issue, and that is veterans with PTSD. I've worked with several individuals who cannot be within a city like Sterling Heights on nights of 4th of July because they have these issues where the PTSD kicks in and they have to go completely north. So thank you.
Thank you, Ross. Elizabeth?
Yes, I don't want to repeat what was said about the law. However, I want to talk about residents. We need to educate residents. Some subdivisions, they take like a letter to every resident and they say, well, we're going to organize fireworks, and it works. Like, people come together and work. So I think in addition to law, we really have to allow our residents to decide locally how they would like to handle that process. Thank you.
Thank you. Deanna?
Thank you, Tom. As it's been said, it's the state that controls the fireworks law. We do what we can. This is something that we've been dealing with for a number of years. It's the sound, PTSD, it's our animals. We've had dogs that just go absolutely insane when they hear that bang. What can we do about it? Educate the people, let them know the dangers of fireworks. When I think of fireworks, I think of 4th of July. We don't need fireworks any other day, but can we convince Lansing of that? I don't think so. But we have tried, we will continue to try. educate the people, let them know how dangerous it can be. To share something, my neighbor, a number of years back, not my current neighbor, obviously, lit some fireworks off in the side yard. Well, it went the wrong way, got him in the face. He ended up on opioids. He became a drug user, and he died. So there are some sad tales that go with fireworks, and if people would just realize that it's great to watch them, but be careful when you use them and have consideration for other people. That's the only message that we can send, other than try to convince Lansing to change the law.
Thank you. Michael?
You know, the worst part about this format is you follow everyone else, and we all have basically the same thing to say on a law that we really can't change. First, Sterling Heights is the most stringent law allowed by our state legislature. Fireworks are only allowed on certain days, at certain times. It's the most restrictive possible. I know, I made the motion to pass it. If my personal opinion, we should ban fireworks in Sterling Heights if we had the ability. The state legislature doesn't give us that ability. If they did, I'd make the motion at the next meeting. I find them frustrating. They wake up our neighbors, they upset our pets, they upset veterans. You have trash in the neighborhood that you see when you get out on the day after the 4th of July, you drive around, you see trash in the neighborhoods from people who are not picking up after themselves. And just for the record, we do have special patrols on nights we believe that fireworks are going to be a problem. We write several tickets. We've caught people with fireworks. Fireworks are banned on city property. They're banned on public school property, for example. But it's a problem that's chasing because people at the end of the day are not being respectful of their neighbors. If you're respectful of your neighbors, you're not going to light these things off at 2 in the morning, a mortar. I know this year one jumped me out of bed when I was asleep. So we need to work together as a community to try to stop this problem, but the real answer is in Lansing. And I know amongst my colleagues, we've all begged the state legislature to give us more power. This is an example of the state taking power away from local communities and restricting our ability to serve our residents.
Thank you. Maria, if you could address the fireworks and the noise ordinances.
Absolutely. Thank you. From a dog owner who puts herself into the bathtub when fireworks are going off, I surely know what some of our pets are going through and sympathize for pet owners, along with our veterans and anyone else suffering from PTSD. As been stated, you know, the fireworks law was Pandora's box that was opened by the state legislature. And here in Sterling Heights, we did put some restrictions as far as we could go without violating the state law. And as Mr. Radke said, we do have stepped up patrols on those days. What really bothers me the most is because of the disrespect of the law and the disrespect of your neighbors, we are really wasting taxpayer dollar and police resources responding to these calls because we have to respond to them. And that's what really frustrates me the most. I think it's a big waste of money. I know that we asked that all the stores selling fireworks put flyers addressing what the state laws were and the allowed days into bags when fireworks were purchased. And we have been talking with our legislators, and we ask the residents to contact the legislators. It shouldn't just be us. It should be all hands on deck addressing this problem at the state level.
Thank you. Liz, 2 minutes, please.
Yes, thank you. So to piggyback and maybe even help explain a little bit what Maria's speaking about. So it's not a waste of, I understand what she's meaning. She doesn't mean it's a waste of tax dollars to respond to them. It's a waste that we have to respond to them when we could be spending the money in a different place. And I did have a dog, God bless this, and I'm sure he has a soul and he's in heaven, because all dogs go to heaven, who could not tolerate the fireworks. And he would literally try to cower under the couch, but he was a golden retriever, so he didn't get very far. But the fireworks did and do really cause a lot of disconcerting behaviors for many people. What we need to do to prevent this craziness is I think what we need to do to not have to have police officers go out when people are lighting them off and times when they shouldn't be, therefore spending the money where it doesn't need to be spent. and not necessarily wasting it, is what would be the best thing to do, and I really think that we need to do this, and I would be happy to lead this, is to lead a task force to go to Lansing and to speak to some of the legislators. We need to get veterans together, some animal rights groups, and to really start lobbying and making an effort to lobby them to change this. If we have large groups going with a larger voice, not just the citizens calling, not just a referendum from a city council, which is even though we're a large city, doesn't necessarily carry a lot of weight, but people going in a big group, then maybe we can have a little bit larger voice, and I would be happy to lead that. So I'm going to see how I can go about doing that, and I will start working on that as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Moira?
Well, I think there's not much more left to be said. I do find that the disrespect of people by annoying them with the disruption, the pollution in the air, the debris that's left over, the danger to people's well-being. Yeah, like Mrs. Koski said, that she has a neighbor that had severe injuries, and they led to other things. There was a well-known newsman that was that lost his eye because of the professional strength fireworks that are allowed to be used, and that's very dangerous. And I think that Lansing needs to repeal this, and we need to put pressure on the legislatures up there so we can have some peaceful summer nights.
Thank you. And Roy?
You know, I listen to this, and everybody's got good ideas. I'm thinking, is there anything the city can do to regulate the sellers of this stuff? Can we find out, it's almost like a gun. Can you find out who and log them in? Get a log of those people, where do they live, so that the police patrolling that night might know where an active area is. There has to be some way to regulate it, to find out who's selling it, who's buying it. Do those people have to register with the city would be my question. You know, and I'm new at this, so I don't know that answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Roy. All right, I will draw another name, and then we will proceed with our next question. We'll start with Maria. Okay, Maria, what is your position on mask and vaccine mandates in the city offices, schools, and local businesses?
Well, I happen to work in a school district that right now masks are mandated. I have no issue wearing a mask. I think people that, I'm not necessarily in favor of a mandate and a vaccine mandate. However, if you're not wearing a mask or you're not vaccinated and there are other steps that you are required to take, you shouldn't have an issue with that because you still have had a choice. You've had a choice to be vaccinated or not, and if that means being tested weekly, if you're in a school environment, then that's a consequence of your choice, which we all have an open choice. And if there's a cost associated with that, it was still your choice to make. So I believe that we need to keep each other safe. I don't necessarily believe in a strong mask mandate. However, I do believe that, you know, vaccines have been mandated for years in the school district, with the exception of some medical and religious situations. I have no problem with that. And the willingness for parents to have their children vaccinated, I think, is a great thing. It keeps these kids in school. That's where they want to be. But a mandate, I think it should be a choice still. However, like I said, if there is a consequence or another step added to it, if you've chosen not to get a vaccine or wear a mask, then that's part of your decision.
Thank you. Liz, 2 minutes, please.
Yes, thank you. Well, as I have said before many times, I'm a registered nurse and I believe in science, but I also believe in choice, and I stick by that. I have as an employee of Beaumont, we are going to be mandating vaccines, and I, as a corporate leader in that company, have to stand by their choice as a corporate leader, but I do stand by my employees that are choosing not to be vaccinated. I will always vaccinate. I have believed in vaccines, but I believe in people's right to choose, and I will always stand by that, and choice in all things is choice in all things. And so but if the governor does enact her executive powers for remasking or for anything, then I will abide by an executive power enactment. So there is, you have to understand that in an emergency, we have to go by what the emergency says. And that's my belief. I do accept and understand that there are consequences for not being vaccinated, of course. I have always vaccinated my children. I went and got the vaccine. I believe in everybody needing to be vaccinated. But if you choose not to be vaccinated, while I do not agree with your choice, I understand and I honor your choice. And that is something that I will never, as an American and as somebody who believes in the democracy, you have a right to do. And that is I will always stand by that, and I will always support your right to choose. So thank you.
Thank you. Moira?
I also believe in choice, and I believe that we need to stress personal hygiene. We need to stress good diet. We need to stress good exercise habits, rest. All of these things figure into the picture here, which has not been given much emphasis. I believe that people can make their own decisions and have sovereignty over their own decisions over their medical care and their body. And I hope we will live by that, and when I'm elected to council, I will advocate for people's freedom of choice.
Thank you. Roy?
Well, people are getting COVID after being vaccinated, so I have to fall in the camp that says no to masking and a vaccine mandate. It's an individual choice. To me, it's as simple as that. Do what you want to do. It's a free country. Thank you.
Thank you. Henry?
Can you just repeat the
of course.
question for me, please?
What is your position on mask and vaccine mandates in city offices, schools, and local businesses?
Okay. So first of all, school districts have their own school boards. They're going to make their own decision. I'm not going to tell a business how to operate their business. If they feel that their employees need to be vaccinated or have to wear a mask, that's up to them. My wife works for the county. She works with vulnerable population. She had to get vaccinated, and they had to wear masks for a very long time. As far as city offices go, it really depends, again, on what's going on science. And is there another wave of infection going around? You know, one of the things I hear about is a personal choice. It is a personal choice for you whether to wear a mask or get a vaccination. But you can spread the virus. And the people that you're spreading it to don't get a choice if you're spreading it to them. And that's one of the things that we have to take into consideration. I don't support mandate on vaccines, but if you're not going to get vaccinated, you have to wear a mask and you have to get tested, period. We cannot continue to spread the virus. Once the virus doesn't have a host, the virus will die and go away and we can get back to normal life. So we're talking a lot about personal choice of whether we're going to get a vaccination, whether we want to wear a mask or not. But there's also the responsibility to the people around us not to spread the virus.
Thank you. Barbara?
Well, public safety has taken on a different definition in the last 18 months. We used to think of public safety as police and fire. We now know that public safety has to do with health and our well-being. And I, for one, know that I have raising my daughter, I had rules in our house. She had rules at school. There were other places that she went that had different rules. wherever you're going, whoever sets up those guidelines, we should be following those rules. So, yes, we do have a choice. I worked at the vaccination center because I wanted to help people making the choice to get vaccinated so that they could be, have some kind of barrier between themselves and this virus. I believe in the science that tells us that this is what we have to do in order to be healthy. So I followed those rules. I choose to wear a mask because it doesn't just make me feel better. I want to make sure that I'm not a carrier of this disease and giving it to somebody else. I worry about our children that have not had this vaccination yet, that are now, the numbers are coming up in that age level where they too are getting sick. They might bounce back faster, but do we really want them to get sick? Is it something that we can prevent? So, you know, our country is so divided on this issue. It's been going on, you know, for 18 months, and we have to ask ourselves the question, are we divided because this is political? Are we divided because this is, we don't believe in this health crisis? But we know that we have the opportunity to make this better for everybody, and if it means wearing a mask or if it means getting a vaccination, this is for what's good for the common good for all of us, not just ourselves.
Thank you. I'll repeat the question and then we'll start with you, Eric. It's, what is your position on mask and vaccine mandates in the city offices, schools, and local businesses? Eric, 2 minutes, please.
I'm against all mandates. I believe your health is a decision between you and your doctor. There is no reason for me to get involved with that in my position anywhere in the world. If your doctor tells you you need to wear a mask when you're out in public, then you should do so. If your doctor tells you you need to get vaccinated, then you should do so. I am not a doctor and I am not a scientist, so I'm not going to tell you to get vaccinated or not to get vaccinated, and I'm not going to tell you to wear a mask or not to. So that's my position. I'm against mandates. That is your health decision between you and your physician, and I don't need to be involved with that.
Thank you. Russ?
Yeah, so I think it should be pretty clear, at least from my perspective, that mandates should not happen. And I'm going to reiterate a little bit of what Eric said. You know, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. So I guess between you and your doctor, you and your healthcare provider, you need to decide what is right for you. And if that means getting the vaccine, then go for it. If that means not getting the vaccine, that's fine. There should not be a mandate, because then we are putting different individuals at risk who may have health issues that coincide with each other. Additionally, the company that I work for did not mandate any vaccines. Similar companies did mandate vaccines. However, my company chose to do daily health screening, and I do not mind doing that. That is, you know, my choice, and to do a daily health screening, telling them how I feel, making sure that I'm not sick, where we're not spreading it. And if, you know, if any of us had felt sick, we would stay home. We wouldn't go to work for 7 or so days, because that was what the company would require. It would require a negative test. So similar to what others said, our choice to maybe not get a vaccine or maybe not wear a mask, it should not be mandated one way or the other, and it should be everybody's choice. And also, nobody should be losing their jobs over this, and that's really my biggest point.
Thank you. Elizabeth?
I guess I repeat what Eric said and Ross. I do not believe in mandates. I think your health information are between you and your doctor, and they're supposed to be confidential. So the decision is between you and your doctor. And for children, I think parents should make a decision, not the schools, not the elected officials. So that is my answer.
Thank you. Deanna?
Thank you, Tom. Vaccines are great. Some people are not able to tolerate all types of medication. I believe in free choice. Nobody knows your body better than you do. And as it's been said, you and your doctor are going to decide whether, number one, you can tolerate a vaccination or not. So I believe it's free choice there. As far as masks are concerned, city buildings, schools, businesses, it's up to them to make that choice whether they're going to require masks if they feel that they are necessary. In the schools, I can understand how they might want to protect the children and ask them to wear masks. In businesses, I know where my one son works, they're required to wear masks when they're walking about the building. So as far as the masks are concerned, I think it's up to the business, the school, to make the decision whether it's necessary or not. As far as an individual getting vaccinated, I think that's their own personal choice. They know their body better than anyone else, and they should be making that decision. Personally, I am vaccinated, but I still wear my mask when necessary, not only to protect myself, but to protect others. Thank you.
Thank you. And Michael.
Oh, going last here is very hard. I find the illogic on display here to be terrible. So, people say they believe in science, but then they negate the science. Vaccines work. Masks work. I'm not a scientist, but I trust the overwhelming number of scientists and doctors who say vaccines and masking works. I can't stick my head in the sand. I had a neighbor who lives next door to my father die of COVID-19, not because she was doing something wrong. She was 91, because her caregiver was asymptomatic and got her COVID-19. So the idea that if you feel sick, stay home, you should stay home. But the idea that we can't stop this is a farce. If we want COVID-19 to go away, we should get vaccinated and we should mask up. So for city employees, right now, we have a mask mandate because COVID cases amongst our employees are skyrocketing. The greatest fear I have is one of our employees, a police or a firefighter, dying of COVID-19 that they contracted in the service of their duties, or even worse, spreading COVID-19 to fellow employees or the public doing their duties. So to me, I would mandate vaccines tomorrow for our city employees. It's not the popular choice. It's easy to be a politician and stand up here and say, oh, it's personal choice, this and that, blah, 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 blah. At the end of the day, we make hard choices. And if that means you're not going to vote for me, don't vote for me. But I believe in vaccines, I believe in masks, I believe in science, and I will do everything I can to keep our city, my family, and this community safe.
Thank you. We'll draw another name and move on to our next question. We'll start with Russ. Speeding has been a major issue in the city for some time. How do you plan to address it? Russ, we'll start with you, 2 minutes.
That's a great question. So I will speak from experience here. I was out near 16 and Ryan at one of those strip malls, and I was putting up a sign and realizing how fast people drive down Ryan is insane. And I think that's probably something that all the individuals here will agree on. And we have to find a way to eliminate that. Now, the current administration has started the Slow Your Roll campaign. And I think getting police officers out on our major roads, which is, like I said, what they are doing right now, is, I think, a great step in eliminating this speeding, because what it results in are awful accidents that end in fatalities, and that's just uncalled for. There's no reason to be speeding from one spot from A to B when it could result in a death or even just a simple injury. So I think the way to solve this issue is by going even more forward with the campaign that they have right now and getting police officers out there patrolling in different areas where we find speeding to be more common. And I think that's the best way to solve that issue.
Thank you. Elizabeth, 2 minutes.
there are two sides to speeding. There are some major streets like people enjoy speeding over there. And there are also situations when the roads are unrepaired and then people come through the subdivision and people are not aware that those cars will be coming at such a speed. It's just residential area. So I would separate those two issues, and I think there is a technology and different types of cameras that can be installed on Ryan or Mount or any other street, but however, for the subdivisions, if the road is closed, they need to be more signs put and more barriers so people know where to go and how to go. Thank you.
Thank you. Deanna.
My favorite subject. I lived at 14 and a half in Ryan Road for 30 years, two-lane highway, and I had to petition the city to put up a street light so that I could get out of my subdivision to go to work. Ryan Road now is, guess what, 5 lanes. Kids that walk to school, Grissom High School just down the street. One day my granddaughter had to run back home because she forgot her homework. Well, she tried to cross at 14 and a half where the light was and lost her shoe in the middle of the street trying to run across the street 5 lanes to come home to do her homework. Ryan Road has become a very dangerous road. How do we correct it? Number one, I would say turn the lights back on during the day at the half-mile intersections, because if they have to stop, they're not going to be able to get that straight run 50, 60 miles an hour from one end of the city to the other, because Ryan Road is used as a pass-through. Number two, if we had a whole lot of money, I would like to put cameras at each one of those intersections and get copies of the driver's license and send them a nice big fat ticket. Slow your speed or you're going to get a nice fat ticket. Thank you.
Thank you. Michael?
Yeah, speeding is a problem I hear about quite frequently on the doors. I've knocked thousands of doors in Sterling Heights, something that residents bring up to us. First, in January, we have 7 new officers starting. 5 of them are going to be part of a directed patrol unit. Mm-hmm. I know that the mayor and I are big in favor of having this directed patrol set up in neighborhoods during the rush hour to make sure that we're keeping our neighborhoods safe. But form follows function. You know, we've built superhighways in our city, and then we expect no one to speed on them. It's kind of a crazy idea. We need to do more speed calming, whether it's lights at the mile roads, better crosswalks, pedestrian islands, more trees, because they say the studies show that if you have more trees on the street, it narrows the driver's vision and they go slower. On a street near me, I think it's Shelby, there's a slight bump out in the curve halfway down. It's about a half mile long straight street. There's a slight bump out halfway through the street, and that calms drivers. They actually slow as they approach this little curve to go back around it, and it prevents them from just racing from one side to the other. You know, Sterling Heights has a 10-year low in ticket writing from our police department. It's something we're working on. I think more tickets, more patrols would calm the speeding. One thing I'm not in favor of are speed bumps. I think they destroy our police vehicles, they destroy our fire vehicles, they are loud, and they would basically Detroitify our city. So I'm not in favor of that. But I think we need to work diligently to stop the speeding. And I know that when these 5 officers start in January, it'll be a great start.
Thank you. Maria, if you could address speeding.
Thank you, Tom. Sure. This, as everyone else has said, is a hot topic, and unfortunately what I've witnessed in the last year or so, since everybody's kind of been unlocked, is so much more recklessness driving on our main roads and in our neighborhood roads, and it's really disturbing. So how do we address it? We are hiring specific police officers to specifically work in our neighborhoods to address the speeding in the neighborhoods. I'm not sure that 5 is the magic number. We'll see how it goes. But I would be open to possibly finding out more information on the removable speed bumps for in the summer times. As far as the major roads, I think part of our issue is the slow your roll advertises that that's a slow your roll zone. We shouldn't advertise where we're going to enhance our enforcement. It should be enhanced everywhere, not just specific zones. So I know Ryan Road is a red hot mess when it comes to, you know, what we're hearing is going on down there. And I think we need to focus on all of our roads and not just specific areas. So.
Thank you. Liz?
Yes, thank you. So as my other current council members have said, it is definitely a topic that we hear about very frequently. And it is not just the major roads, it is even the residential roads. So first I'd like to address residential roads. And so I would like to, instead of, there have been a couple of different options that we have been brought to our attention. Speed bumps I am not in favor of. I think that, as Councilman Radke has said, they do tear up our vehicles. They tear up residents' vehicles. If they hit them and they don't see them at nighttime, heaven forbid they are going fast, and you know they shouldn't be, but they would still tear up a vehicle. Residents will hear that, and then oftentimes it would anger that person, and then it'll tear off anyway, potentially doing more damage to something else. So I don't think that those are a great option. I would like to see speed limit or stop signs and more speed limit signs. People don't always even know what they're supposed to be going. So I think that would at least address it, and not the temporary speed limit signs that come and go, real speed limit signs that stay there and tell the residents what those speed limits should be. I'd also like to address certain streets like Fox Hill, Canterbury, and Brome that are just a shot, like a cannon shot. People can go so far and have nothing to stop them, that we really do need to put more police officers on those roads. We need to have the stop signs, and we need to have more enforcement continuously all hours of the day and night. So those are things that I would really like to see happening. I know that we do have that 12 to 10 shift that we are hiring and focusing on for enforcement, and those are just in residential areas. In the more non-residential areas, the bigger streets, Mound, Ryan, I would like to see continuous fire or police, and then we won't have to have the firefighters out there for patrols to continue to have better and bigger presence of police, so that then the residents will then just slow down. And that's what I have. And then more tickets, more and more tickets, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Moira?
I think police presence is a deterrent to law breaking, and speeding is law breaking. As a frequent bicyclist and walker, it's not only a traffic problem with cars speeding, but vehicular accidents with the bicycles, pedestrians. They are in danger. People in wheelchairs trying to cross. I've seen people in wheelchairs trying to cross main roads, and you've got to slow down for them, obviously. That's about all I can say. The speeding is a severe problem. Every time I go out, we are all at risk. And there are roads like Utica Road that the speed limit's 45, people are probably going 65 at times. We probably should have some half-mile stoplights on Utica Road because of that track from Dodge Park all the way from 18 Mile all the way to Van Dyke, where there is no traffic stopping. I don't believe in speed bumps. I do think they're damaging to the vehicles, just not only the public vehicles, but our personal vehicles themselves. We need to take care of that. I just think that the police presence is the deterrent, and we need to be known for don't speed in Sterling Heights. You'll get a ticket. So.
Thank you. Roy?
You know, this one's near and dear to my heart. I like speed. Slow your roll. I see it on Metro. I've never seen the county or Sterling police on that road. Now, I ride a Harley. So you're forced to keep up with traffic or get run over. Normally, it's not unusual for the vehicles to do 60 miles an hour. Now, it's a 55 limit, so that's not much. But you're speeding, and I agree with these folks. If you had a presence on the roads that create, I mean, Metro is that's 4 lanes in spots. That's better than some expressways. And I love hearing the Chargers, the Camaros, and the Mustangs when they jump on it a little bit. That's a great sound for me. But you can control it. We have laws. Enforce the law. That's all. Thanks.
Thank you. Henry, if you could address speeding in the community.
Yes, thank you. This is obviously an issue that's near and dear to everybody's heart. I can tell you my own personal story. I live at Plumbrook and Shaner, so I can hear Metropolitan Parkway, and I can tell you 5 o'clock every morning, Monday through Friday, there's a motorcycle and some sort of street rod, you know, on their way to work. And it's so loud, it literally wakes me up. I live a half a mile away. The main roads are extremely important, but what's really a matter of life and death, frankly, are those roads through the neighborhoods that people speed through. And quite often, and I remember very distinctly talking to residents in the Fox Hill and Ryan Road area, you know, people going to pick their kids up to school, and they're in a big hurry, and they're going far faster than they should. And we really need to have more patrol. So I certainly supported in this last budget hiring more police officers and this directed, you know, that we're going to apply to this directed patrol. We definitely need to use more technology when it comes to that, because we are spreading ourselves thin when it comes to our police officers. But one of the things that really gets me is, especially when it comes to Metropolitan Parkway, and there's a number of county roads that go through our city, we all here pay a lot of money in county tax. And even though the sheriff doesn't have jurisdiction, if you see a police car, you're going to slow down. And I would love to see some sheriff cars in the city, just to slow some people, even if it's just during rush hour. But we really have to get control of speeding through the neighborhoods. And if we don't get control of that, somebody's going to get hurt. This is a top priority of mine, something that I am going to continue to address if I'm reelected. And we're going to make sure that people are safe. And as a retired, I will tell you, as a retired firefighter paramedic, speed kills. I've been on countless car accidents, and most of them are because of speeding.
Thank you. Barbara?
As a society, we are always in a hurry. I remember when I moved here 44 years ago, and Shaner was a 2-lane highway, and people that were driving north as they were crossing 15 Mile would end up in a ditch because they had to be first. And because it went from 2 lanes to 1 lane. So they had to be first, so it would end up in a ditch before they would let somebody get in front of them. It's gotten worse over the years. It's now a 5-lane highway. Part of this is because there's other government entities that have raised the speed limits on these county roads. And Shaner is, because it's right next to my house, I've noticed it. You know, it's noticeable. It's something that's annoying. I worry about people trying to cross the street. We don't have an answer for everything except more patrol, and that means hiring more people, and that means giving them the equipment that they need in order to pull people over. Speeding in the neighborhoods sometimes is something that we don't see. Like I said, you know, you can only have so many police officers doing their job, and the speeding isn't the only issue that they have to take care of. We also have to think that, you know, we're a product of our success by the fact that we repair these roads, we fix them, and, you know, when they had potholes, people couldn't speed, but now that they're all fixed, they can certainly go at a higher rate of speed. The automotive industry, it continues to make cars that, you know, are going to go faster and farther. So it's not just, it's not a one answer situation, but we do need to get more people on patrol. We have to give them the needs to make those, you know, arrests or tickets or whatever they need. And I think that's what we can do now as a community. And like I said, sometimes it's talking to your neighbors and telling them that, you know, you go out and you see something that isn't right and mentioning to them that, you know, it might be good to slow down in the neighborhood.
Thank you. And Eric, if you could address speeding for us.
Yes. This is also a pretty personal issue. A few years ago, someone was speeding down our street and actually hit my son and daughter's two parked cars, flipping his car over, totaling all 3 cars. We are in a residential street that is not very long. There is no reason that should have ever happened, but it did. Number one, as a utility worker who works generally along the side and in roadways on a regular basis, I noticed a few things over the years. Number one, police patrols work. Even if they're not pulling people over, the visual cars, not the unmarked ones, the visual cars, their presence slow people down. The second thing that works is flashing lights. If you get those temporary and permanent, no one ever spoke to that in our current council here, they have permanent radar speed signs that can be mounted up that are solar panel operated. Yes, they're expensive. They're looking at probably about $1,000, $1,500 each. But those can also be put up, especially in residential neighborhoods, with the posted speed, and then it says your speed and it flashes at you. These are things that can be deployed out there at a reasonable cost to the taxpayers, because remember, a life is more important than a few dollars. So number one, we do need to increase patrols. Second thing, we need to do some more stuff with technologies. It does work. I've seen it work. So thank you.
Thank you. We'll draw another name and another question. Michael Radke. How can Sterling Heights establish itself further as a destination city for millennials and now even Generation Z, be it for visiting or for residency? Michael, 2 minutes.
Wow, what a great question. I think a lot of the initiatives the City Council has taken forward have increased not only our new residents, but the average age of our residents. When I first joined the council, the average age of our residents was 37. And it went up to 39 the last time I saw the numbers. I haven't seen the new census numbers, but I assume it's kind of remains steady. First, the North Van Dyke project. If you don't know about this project, we are going to do some traffic calming on North Van Dyke, north of 18.5 mile before Utica. It's going to become a mixed-use district. It's going to be tremendous. It's going to be something that what I see Generation Z, which is, I'm not even Generation Z, I'm a millennial. Generation Z is looking for is a walkable community where they can both do their business and live and sit outside, go to the cafe. You know, this is something we don't have in Sterling Heights. As other candidates have said, we're a bedroom community, but the future is coming, and I think that's one of the things that we need to do. Also, I look forward with bated breath for the rejuvenation of Lakeside Mall. Very shortly, we're going to have plans come before the council to discuss that with us, and I look forward to hopefully approving them so that they can create a downtown district that's walkable. But more than that, we need to focus on the things that millennials are telling us they want, that Generation Z is telling us they want. Sidewalks, bike lanes, the ability to walk around, not have to be trapped in a car all day. So often we focus on streets and cars so people can drive through our community and not enough on investing on what people in our community want to do. I know that the mayor and I have been very strident on trying to get better dining options in Sterling Heights, higher end restaurants, and different things that people are looking for. I like going to McDonald's as much as anybody else, but I also like outside the box ideas. And one more thing that I think that people are looking for is a beautiful community. So I strongly support our public art projects and what we've done to draw younger people to Sterling Heights.
Thank you. Maria?
Thank you. I think regardless of what generation you're from, there are important facts that bring you to a community to begin with. And that would be your low taxes, your city services, your safety, safe city, your water rates, what your utilities are going to be like. Those are first and foremost when someone's looking to make a purchase in the city of any city. So the fact that we have one of the lowest tax rates in the state, and our city services are second to none. Our water rates are one of the lowest in the state, and we are always looking to the future on how we can bring new things to the community. Our Parks and Recs millage was huge to bring young families in and young folks. and older folks as well. There's something for everyone in that Parks and Recs recreating recreation millage. Something for everyone. Sustainability. The younger generation are looking more into recycling and sustainability options, different housing options. Most of us that have lived in this community for years have either a brick ranch or you have a colonial, and that's what was built here. We're starting to bring in newer options, more condominiums or apartments that are appealing to the young professionals that don't want maintenance and don't want a large living space. They may be out of town a lot. So we are bringing those into our community, and we look forward to, you know, bringing more progressive things into the city.
Thank you. Liz?
Yes, thank you. So we are working at developing the North Van Dyke and the Lakeside and making it more of a, not necessarily a downtown, but an uptown, because certainly it would not, the Lakeside is not centralized to our city. But we want to, what I would like to do is not just develop it for Generation Z. Generation Z would be my youngest son's generation. And while I love him dearly, there are more people involved in the world than just his generation, although he thinks he's central to the world. What I think is, I would like to see us develop it for more, for everyone, for people that are, we want people to age in place. My generation, I'm 57. I want to live here for the rest of my life. I want it to be a place where I can continue to age in place, and it's going to be appropriate, and I'll have things for what I would like to do. As Ms. Smith has mentioned, biking. I love to bike, but I don't want to just bike in the parks where it's safe. I want to be able to bike all around the city. So let's make sure that our bike trail, we have a bike trail, and bike trails throughout the roads where they're safe, bike trails around the city, and invest in the southern portion of our city, which does not have as many amenities as the northern portions of our city. So that is something that I would really like to focus on and make it more of a destination city, so that the residents do have amenities throughout the entire city, not just in a certain portion. I would like to be able to make sure that we can have the work and play, where they can work and live in place, so that they do have different residential communities that also have a little bit more of a work in place community. So we have opportunities in the city that we haven't even begun to tap, not plowing down a portion, but building up a portion and using the portions that we have. So we have lots of opportunities that we can still use in the city, and I'm looking forward to the next couple of years. Thank you.
Thank you. Moira?
Well, I have to differ with a lot of the suggestions that have been made. We have people who move to Sterling Heights because it is a beautiful place to live, and we want to keep it a beautiful place to live. But our deviance from the established zoning has caused problems. It's causing high density living, and it's not a happy sight. People are happier when they have their own space, their own privacy. Sterling Heights is known for beautiful homes, beautiful yards. That is their personal space, and that is what we need to preserve. I do not believe that Lakeside is the responsibility of the city to develop. I believe it is the property owner's responsibility to develop that in a way that is following the zoning, following what the established zoning order is. That is what I strongly feel about that. I want to preserve what we have in Sterling Heights. I am against pack 'em and stack 'em, as they like to call it, the high density living. It doesn't produce a happy, healthy population. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll rephrase the question for you, Roy. Not in particular, just feel like it's time.
It's okay.
How can Sterling Heights establish itself further as a destination city for millennials and now even Generation Z, be it for visiting or for residency? Roy, thank you.
You know, I agree with Moira to a certain extent. More restaurants. I would say whatever we should do is mixed use. You attract everybody that's willing to come here. I think we've got a great city. I think if we add many more restaurants, we'll have to call ourselves Restaurantville or Caféville, change the name to the city. Andiamo closed on Hall Road. And I'm sure he's not the only one. I haven't paid that close attention. BJ's is great, but Andiamo just flat tore the building down. How much of that's going on? You know, we don't, the question, I mean, you know, my question is not to you naturally, but to the city. How many businesses have closed? And we're worried about creating a downtown somewhere. Well, I just don't see it work. The new build just north of Riverland, that, I know, there was a couple of tents out there the other day. That's, I think, a high-rise apartments or a motel, hotel. That was on a floodplain. And my understanding is there's no tax coming from that. Now, how do we get into that? If that's true. I mean, you know, it could be rumor, but I think we've got a great city. We build on what's worked for us, and go on. I don't know. Some of the new things don't thrill me. So that's all I've got. Thank you.
Thank you, Roy. Henry?
I almost feel like this question should have started out, okay, boomer, what are we going to do to attract younger people? Well, one of the things, my apologies to the non-boomers on the panel. So one of the things this city council did was we established a youth advisory commission. We actually have young people telling us what they want to see with the city in the future. And that's really the key thing. You know, as a member of city council or any other kind of board or legislature, you really need to listen to the people and what the people have to say and have an eye not only on now, but on the future. And that's why, you know, we had this Visioning 2030 plan. We have to take a look at what the city is going to look like in the future. We're pretty close to built out. So I understand that there's concerns about going up, but the fact of the matter is if you can't go out, you only have one other option, and that's to go up. And if you don't think these mid-rises or high-rises work, well, just talk to Dan Gilbert, because his buildings are full of them. And I know that's Detroit, but you know what? They're full of young people who don't necessarily want the white picket fence. They want activities. So we have to take a look at what people are telling us. We have to listen to what people are telling us, what they want in the future. The Youth Advisory Council is part of that. Take a look at our skate park. I mean, when we built that skate park, I thought I was going to see nothing but broken arms and broken legs. That place is packed, and it's packed with kids that don't live here. But they're looking at this place now when they grow up, whether they're going to want to move here, establish themselves here in Sterling Heights because of all the great amenities. So as a council, you have to listen, you have to have an eye on the future, and that's how we attract folks to live here and establish businesses here.
Thank you. Barbara?
Sterling Heights is a great city, but we never rest on our laurels. We know that there's always more that we can do to make us a better city. I always look at it as the city was here before me and it was here after me, and while I'm sitting in the chair as a council person, I'm going to make the best decisions I can for the city. I think that we have already made progress on what we should be looking for in the future. It happens in your families where there's role changes. You know, you raise your kids, you get adult kids, they certainly have different ideas than you do, and you have to be open to what they're saying. So I would think this is the same way as far as the city goes, is we need to listen to what these young people are saying about what they want, how they want to raise their families. We're finding that people they want bigger homes, but they want it on a smaller piece of property so they don't have the upkeep of the yards. We also know that some, because they're transient in their jobs that they have, would rather live in an apartment than in a condo. They don't want to own something. They just want to be able to pay their rent, stop there when they have to, and do their job. I think that what we should look for is maybe sustainable neighborhoods, which we're working toward, and that would be where you could work, you could live, and you could also entertain yourselves. We're looking at that as far as North Van Dyke. I think that we had the catalyst there with the new Chaldean community high-rise that's going in there. They will be the catalyst for that project. We're going to see that that is the beginning of what's going to be what young people want in the future. You'll be able to walk to maybe art exhibits or concerts, but you'll be able to do it by walking, by biking. Certainly the park system that we've been renovating now since the passage of the millage, that's what's bringing people here. So that's where the direction we're going is the right direction.
Thank you. Eric.
Okay, well, I would have to say if you want to attract a different group of people, you need to talk to those people. My concern with this is you don't want to then just open it up to just a whole new group of people and then chase everybody out who's actually here, living here happily, paying your way. So I'm not again. I think the first thing we need to do is really look at the group. What do they want from our city? What do we have? And what can we offer them? But they have to tell us. I can't tell you that. I'm not part of that group. I'm a little bit of the older generation. And my family, we moved here because it was a bedroom community with good schools, good neighborhoods, safe streets, wonderful parks, and a great Parks and Rec program. You know, that's why we moved here. You know, and I would have to say if that's not attracting the millennial, we'd have to talk to them and see what we can add to that, but we also don't want to chase out everybody else that's already here. You know, and we don't want to just build high-rises everywhere and turn ourselves into downtown Detroit. There's nothing wrong with downtown Detroit. It's a beautiful area. I've worked in many of those buildings, but I don't want to live in downtown Detroit. I like the suburban community with the parks and the sidewalks and the nice lots. Yes, they are work, but I enjoy that. So definitely say we have to talk to them, not to me.
Thank you for your response. Russ?
So I guess this question might sort of be directed to me in a sense where I have a little bit of insight, at least with my last few years of experience. So I graduated from Cousino High School and then just graduated from Michigan State in August. And an interesting thing was while I was at Michigan State, they built bike lanes on the roads. They were quickly, in some areas, removed because they resulted in injuries. So that's an example of something that some cities or some older generations might think that the bike lanes on the road might be something that Gen Z or millennials want, but in fact, bike lanes, you know, near the sidewalk might be the better option. But in more of a more general concept of what brings my generation to a city, we have to give companies a reason to be here, to have jobs for my generation. You know, if I'm going to move to a city, I want to be able to work there. I want to be able to build my career there. You know, we've already established our parks and things like that. So I don't think that building onto it more, maybe, you know, like Dodge Park. I mean, we've invested a lot there, and I think what we have is great. But for example, I live on the southeast part of the city. My neighborhood park is Moravian Park. I have heard from probably near 100% of my neighbors that they feel like they have been neglected. And one specific issue is a catwalk was closed 40 or so years ago, and it just has not been brought back up as an option. So I think these are things that maybe we need to go back to the drawing board and focus on the entirety of the city, on parks like Moravian Park that have been neglected, but also I believe Mr. Radke mentioned Lakeside Mall as another thing. That is already, you know, a commercial property. There is great potential for Lakeside to turn into something that my generation wants to be a part of, wants to live at, and wants to shop at. And so I think Lakeside Mall, what may be in the future could be something that my generation comes to.
Thank you, Russ. Elizabeth?
Taxes, smaller houses, no cutting grass, no snow removal, it was all mentioned. There is one city that we can benchmark, and that is Royal Oak. The taxes are high, people travel to work sometimes over 2 hours, but yeah, different generations, they want to live there, and we all know. So the good option is and really go and benchmark. And when I talk to people, what they like that you can sit outside, have a restaurant outside, so everybody goes. You know, they think it's like a small Paris, some say. So, but I think in Sterling Heights really needs like event venue for all of us, because that's missing. Thank you.
Thank you. And Deanna.
Thank you, Tom. Destination city, that's something that we've talked about for many, many years, and we continue to try to update it. So how do we do that? We established a youth commission to find out what the young people are looking for. What do you want in your city? Sustainability commission. What can we do to preserve what we have? Use it carefully, make sure that it's there for the rest of the future generations. Lakeside Mall is going to be redeveloped. We're working very closely with the developer, giving ideas how we as a city would like to see that developed. Not make it just shopping, but make it housing that will appeal, hopefully, to our upcoming Generation Z. Sterling Heights is, I think, the dream of every broker to sell a house in Sterling Heights, because it sells before even the sign goes up because of what we have to offer our community. What do we offer our community? We ask the residents, what do you want? We do our surveys. We do our town halls. We ask them, what is it that you need? And this is how we set our goals and our future. Everything changes. We're constantly changing. So we're looking for new ideas and new ways to improve our city, to make it truly a destination city. They choose a place to live, then they find the job. Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll be pushing it, but I would like to get one more question in for all of you before we move on to our final statements. So draw the name and we'll draw our question. Barbara, your question. Okay, Barbara, 2 minutes. What is your stance on marijuana grow facilities and or dispensaries within the city?
All right, give me a minute to find my notes. First of all, we know that by state law, marijuana is legal. Consumption of marijuana is legal to use in our communities. We know that we can put restrictions on some of what can be done here. It does, if people use it, that's fine. If they grow it legally in their homes, I have no problem with it. But our community right now is so divided on whether they want it here or they don't, that until I see something that's definitive, I am content with the fact that people could get their supply, whether it be in a neighboring city, it could be delivered by mail. We are not depriving any of our residents from not using marijuana. I also know that we have other revenue sources that keep our city going. So it's not a need. We don't need that money. So until the residents tell me what to do, I think I would stay at the status quo that we are right now and not make any changes.
Thank you. Eric?
I would have to pretty much agree with that. At this point in time, from everything I've seen from surrounding communities and my time spent in working in Detroit area, I think there's enough dispensaries around that we don't need to build anymore. And and I think that, like I said, if you use it in your personal life, that's perfectly fine. You have the right to grow a certain amount of plants for your personal need. That's perfectly fine. But I do think we need to really, seriously look at stringent regulations on commercial or large grow operations, as they do present problems to the power grid, which at this point is not in the utmost shape in this area. So if we start putting a lot of grow operations in, it does draw a lot of power off the grid, causing major problems for the communities around. So I'm kind of I think we need to keep it the status quo, and unless the residents tell us something different, I think right what we have now is good.
Thank you. Russ?
So yeah, I personally fully oppose grow facilities and dispensaries in our city. But at the end of the day, my personal opinion probably should not influence the rest of the city. And I've heard from others in previous council meetings or different things that we're in a position to make those decisions. And I guess that's just a philosophical difference that I have, that I believe an elected city council member or the mayor should not be making full decisions just based on their own personal choice. So I would consider a voter referendum to let the people of our city decide, because at the end of the day, they should be the ones making a huge choice like that. However, I just want to reiterate, I personally fully oppose dispensaries and grow facilities.
Thank you. Elizabeth?
Yes, I also agree that residents of the city must make decisions, because when you go and talk to homeowners or people walking on the street, I got texts and phone calls. Come here, look how, you will see how it smells. We cannot even walk in the evening. And then when you go and talk to strip mall operators or whatever, whoever has a store there, so would you like, there is empty space, would you like to have a dispensary? They say no. So there is a lot of talk, but then when you talk to individuals, there is opposite reaction. So personally, I am opposed to bring this cannabis to Sterling Heights. I just want to make that clear. Thank you.
Thank you. Deanna?
Thank you. We all know marijuana is legal. I personally do not use it. Medical, regular, recreational, no. I received a letter from both school districts in Sterling Heights asking me as a council person not to opt in, not to have dispensaries or grow or anything to do with marijuana production in the city of Sterling Heights. The business community that I've spoken with, owners of complexes have told me, no, I don't want a dispensary next door to my business. I came to Sterling Heights because I like what you have here. Please do not put one across the street or next door. We have a little section northwest corner of Sterling Heights, or I should say north central section of Sterling Heights, that is Utica. Utica has opened 2 facilities there, Puff and Cloud. And so if our residents want something close, all they have to do is go down to North Van Dyke, and it's right there. Just make sure that they turn in on the side street so they don't block traffic. I don't see a need for dispensaries at this point until the residents tell me that's something that they must have. My answer is no.
Thank you. Michael?
Could you repeat the question?
Of course. What is your stance on marijuana grow facilities and or dispensaries inside the city?
So I fully support legalizing marijuana in Sterling Heights because the voters supported it. When this was put to referendum to the entire state, a majority of the residents voting in that election in Sterling Heights voted in favor of it. I see that as my duty to follow the will of the residents. It's been decided. But I don't think that we're a good community for growth facilities. Our industrial vacancy rate, where a grow facility would go in Sterling Heights, is less than 1%. You can grow things much cheaper elsewhere. Do I support dispensaries? I do, limited number. I think if it's legal, it should be allowed. It's not my role to get in front of a business owner of a legal substance. Are we going to start regulating liquor stores out of existence? I mean, this is a legal substance. And Puff and Cloud are close to Sterling Heights, and frankly, they're making a lot of money for the city of Utica. Why shouldn't those tax dollars come right back here to Sterling Heights where we could then benefit from it? And more than that, if we don't write a good law to prevent this and make it as not harmful to residents as possible, it's going to be done by referendum. All you need is 1,000 signatures to put this on the ballot. Someone's going to eventually do it. And it's going to be either we write a good law or we might get saddled with a bad law. This has happened in community after community where something gets placed on the ballot, and now the city council, because it's been approved by the residents, has their hands tied. It starts to become a community detriment. So to me, let's write a good law. Let's limit the locations. Let's keep them away from neighborhoods. And more than that, I was the strongest proponent of cracking down on illegal grows in the neighborhood. The problem is state law doesn't let us stop them from growing at their houses. My hope is that if we open dispensaries, they would lower the price of everything and we could kill some of these illegal grows in our neighborhoods, stop the effects on the neighbors.
Thank you. Maria?
Thank you, Tom. Well, let's start with the law that passed. So the law that passed was to legalize marijuana. The law also, which hardly anyone acknowledges, states that the cities, it gives the power to the cities to opt out of having it in their communities. So it's a twofold, it was a twofold proposal that passed. So there may have been the majority, yes votes on this proposal in Sterling Heights, but what were they really voting on? Were they voting on the city opting out and having the ability to opt out, or were they voting on the legalization of marijuana statewide? So there's a lot of people out there that may partake in the use of cannabis that still don't want it in their city. And this is what this proposal is all about. It gives the city control over having it in their community or not. You know, we were at the Michigan Municipal League conference last week, and there was a very good workshop on this very subject. And it was interesting to me that still the laws continue to change. So even if we put a law in place or an ordinance in place in Sterling Heights, the state is continuously changing things. They're changing the game. They're changing the goal line. So what we put into place may not be what really is going to be allowed in the future. There's just too many moving parts. I also believe 4 people on a city council should not have the power to bring this into our community. And the big pot of gold at the end of the rainbow that all of these are bringing to municipalities, we've found out from other municipalities that that really is not the case, and that the headaches associated with some of these establishments as far as traffic control, logistics, and everything else is simply not worth it. Thank you.
Thank you. Liz?
Yes, thank you. So we have discussed already that it is illegal. It is legal in the state of Michigan. I personally knew the twofold portion of that law that did get voted in. I voted for it, knowing that, yes, it would now no longer be illegal for people to use marijuana in the state of Michigan. But I also knew that I did not want it in my city. I expect I was one of the many voters that felt that. I still do not want it in my city. And I have a son who has been a medical marijuana user for many years, who said to me, Mom, I don't think we need it here either. He's very happy to go where he goes to purchase his marijuana. Does not feel the need, does not feel taken advantage of that we don't have it in our city, does not feel that he is being put upon, that it is an unfair abuse of him to have to go into any other city that he purchases it. So I do not feel that it is a burden to our citizens to have to go elsewhere to purchase marijuana from a very personal level, let alone the rest of the residents. Granted, my son is very fully mobile and capable of driving, others may not be, but with that, I do not feel that it is my personal feeling or choice or in my power to push this on the residents. I am fully in favor of a voter referendum at this point until we have clear and consistent laws from the state of Michigan. I would not be in favor of putting anything forth that is in my power. So I am in favor of a voter referendum, and I will continue to believe and hold that stance at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Moira?
Well, I just have to say that we can go to Utica if you want to have recreational marijuana. I do not agree with having it available to the citizens and the children of this town, and that's where I stand. I will vote no on allowing growth, the growing facilities, and retail marijuana, recreational marijuana in the city.
Thank you. Roy?
I tell you what, I'm absolutely amazed. The council doesn't agree on this. You know, the rubber stamp's gone here on this one. This is eye-opening. I would vote as a longtime biker, but never a smoker of anything. Put it up to a referendum. Let the city decide. That's my stance.
Thank you, Roy.
You bet.
And Henry.
Man, how long do I get?
2 minutes.
Oh, man. We don't have enough time. So first of all, I just want to say in 2018, I voted against the ballot initiative. Once it passed, I was in the state legislature at the time. I tried to get the state to adopt it because the state, if they adopt it, could have controlled the law. They refused to do that. They sent it to the citizens for their vote. It passed, and now we're stuck with what we're stuck with, and we can't change it. And to correct some of the other panelists, the law hasn't changed. The rules from the Marijuana Regulatory Agency have changed, but they are now pretty much settled. There are a few changes coming down the road, but they're very nuanced. So here's the problem. And so let me just say that, let me go straight to the point. Yes, the answer is yes, I support opting in to the MRTMA law. Here's what's going to happen if we stick our heads in the sand in this issue, and this just happened to the city of Port Huron. They were against allowing adult use marijuana in their city. They refused to adopt an ordinance. Not one, but two people, and when we talk about citizens initiative, it's not the citizens of Sterling Heights that are going to be writing this initiative. It's going to be a big marijuana company writing this initiative to benefit themselves. So now Port Huron has two initiatives on the ballot. They both pass. So the one with the most votes gets in, and so Port Huron scrambles trying to pass their own law. They pass their own law. Now this thing passes at the ballot box, and their law gets swept off the board. Now there's all kinds of lawsuits. It's just absolutely crazy. The city council needs to control their laws. And the fact of the matter is, on a citizens initiative, which is not going to be done by the citizens of Sterling Heights, we will not be able to control it. It'll become the Wild West down here, and we will also lose revenue that will come from these dispensaries. And the fact of the matter is, we can use that revenue. I don't care if we have a $250 million budget. We can use every penny every penny that we can get to make sure that we don't raise taxes. So the answer for me is yes.
Thank you. Candidates, I thank you all for your insights and answers to our questions today. It should be very helpful for our citizens deciding who to vote for. At this time, we'll move on to our final statements. We'll proceed as we have. I'll draw a name. We'll continue alphabetically. You'll again get 2 minutes for your closing statements. We'll start with Michael Radke.
Wow.
Lucky draws today, Michael.
Three times. You must have bent your card. You bent your name in a.
Right? I should have bought a lottery ticket today, man.
2 minutes.
Well, thank you to the folks at home and listen. Thank you to the audience, and thank you to the chamber for putting on a wonderful event. As you can tell, we don't all agree on everything, but I know everyone up here wants what's best for our city. Personally, I think that there's a very distinct difference between the candidates, though. There are people who are working to move the city forward into the next generation, and there are folks standing on the wall yelling, stop, stop. And to me, a city is built on continuous improvement. We have to continue to understand what our city will be, not just today or tomorrow, but will be in 10, 15, 20, 30 years from now. I've lived in Sterling Heights now for 24 years, and I want to live here for another 24 years or more. And I know that we can't just rest on our laurels. We have to continue to build the greatest city in the state of Michigan. You know, the idea that we're a rubber stamp is frankly false and kind of offensive. Just because we understand of a common vision for the city, if you watch any of our meetings, we don't always agree. We don't always agree heatedly. But at the end of the day, I know that my colleagues and I want what's best for Sterling Heights. We want to keep our families safe. We want to have great parks. We want to have amenities for the residents. So I'm proud to work on this council, and I hope that voters at home will consider re-electing me for this next term. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Maria?
Thank you. The following are some facts I'd like to focus on. Over the past year and a half, we have faced many challenges and learned many lessons, but we continued forward focusing on priorities such as health and safety. We also were very focused on helping residents and businesses which were struggling during the shutdown, all while continuing to balance the budget with a AA bond rating, saving taxpayer dollars. The city debt has dropped to its lowest since 1989. In fact, 81% of the current debt is either voter approved or has dedicated funding. We're very fortunate that the voter-approved Safe Streets millage has allowed us to invest $49 million in neighborhood road improvements over the past 8 years, and we have many more roads to go. Public safety will always be a priority for me. We continue to invest in both police and fire to keep our residents safe. Most concerning, however, is the neighborhood speeding, which we addressed, and the Main Street recklessness, which we have seen an increase in, and it is being addressed. We've improved the water billing process, which will eliminate the costly sewer charge on summer irrigation and send bills monthly instead of quarterly. We continue to fund long-term liabilities while reducing and eliminating legacy costs, and we continue to close the sidewalk gaps to ease and encourage non-motorized mobility in the city. We successfully fought for the sidewalks to be included in the Innovate Mound project. Sterling Heights has one of the lowest manufacturing vacancy rates in the region because of our reputation. We continue to encourage business and residential development and expansion in our community, resulting in over $773 million of capital investments in just the past 4 years. This not only creates jobs, but has a major role in Sterling Heights having one of the lowest tax rates in Southeast Michigan. In closing, no one can accomplish this alone. It takes everyone working together to make Sterling Heights what it is today and into the future. I would like to thank the residents for giving me the opportunity to serve every one of you. As always, my promise continues to be that I will work hard, be fiscally responsible, and educate myself to the best of my ability to make informed decision with honesty, respect, and integrity. I will listen with an open mind and vote for what I believe in is the best interest of all the residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. Liz, 2 minutes, please.
Yes, thank you. So I would like to thank the Chamber and all the residents for being here today. And I want to just give you a few thoughts on what we have, what I think is most important. And so for me, public safety is always the most important for all residents and for the citizens of Sterling Heights. I am very proud of our police department and their accreditation, and their contributions to Sterling Heights have allowed us to be one of the safest cities in the country and certainly in the state. We have an FBI rating that is bar none. Our fire department is also highly rated, and our DPW gives us the very best city services we could ever ask for. I promise to always be very judicious in my spending. I will never, ever look at a budget without making sure that you are getting the best value for your tax dollars. Our parks and our streets are now improved to the point where we can be so very proud, but we still have more work to do, and I promise that I will look at the southern portion of our city and make sure that you get your fair share and you get better and more improved citizen amenities so that you also will have everything that you deserve. I also promise to you that I will continue not to promote my personal agenda. I am here as your public servant. I will continue to make sure that you have what you need to have the best citizen and best residential property values and the best experience to have the most wonderful life that you could have as a citizen of Sterling Heights, because I truly believe this has been the greatest city, and you will always have my ear, and I thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Final statement, Moira, 2 minutes, please.
Candidates often say this is the most important election of all time. That's a routine statement, but this time it's true for several reasons. With the doubling of both council pay and the term of office, this election has pole vaulted the payment of the winners from $32,000 to $130,000 for their term of office. With the ongoing monarchy style of appointments, when council members quit for one reason or another, they will deny the people the right to vote for the balance of 4 years and not just 2. With their 2-year terms, council ignored, scoffed at, and insulted the people. With 4 years of job security, the arrogance will rise to czar-like levels. The fraudulent election of 2020 left us with a nation where nobody believes in fair elections anymore. One side knows they were cheated. The other side thinks that cheating's okay when they win. Many people have said, why vote? The system is rigged against us. I say, come on out and vote. Give it one more chance. If nothing else, you can make them cheat harder to beat us. I ran a low-cost, totally self-funded primary and came out on top of the challengers. Nobody owns me, and I won't sell my soul for any price. That's why the power buyers oppose me. Rather than funding the grandiose, unwanted, and unneeded pork barrel projects, I will focus my attention to the much-needed and long-overdue completion of the sidewalk and bike trail grid. Every day, I see people risking their lives, walking, jogging, biking, and pushing baby buggies and wheelchairs on the gravel shoulders and high weeds for the lack of sidewalks. This week, we saw a man walking on the pavement of 14 Mile Road against traffic because he couldn't get through the wet weeds. This dangerous condition persists on many Sterling Heights streets, including Mound, Van Dyke, Utica Road, and many others. If somebody dies due to lack of sidewalks, the blame will, quite rightly, fall on the City Council. It's time to pave the few remaining gravel streets that plague the city with dust and storms and mud. Pave the gravel before repaving Mound and Van Dyke for the 5th and 6th time. It's now or never. Elect an all-new City Council on November 2nd or right now, now in the full-time election center. Moira Smith for City Council and all the new candidates. Thank you.
Thank you. Everyone, please be respectful while they're finishing their thoughts. Roy, 2 minutes, please.
All right. Well, this is going to be short. I've seen the growth. I've seen increased diversity. We have a great police and fire department. And I would just love to see the spending put in check. That would be my goal if elected to the council. Roy Wilson for City Council, and I thank you for the time.
Thank you, Roy. Henry, 2 minutes for your final thoughts.
Yes, so I don't have a written prepared statement. But before I get on with my final thoughts, though, I got in my introduction to say that I also have 2 awesome stepdaughters, so now I can go home safely. So I've been in public service for a very long time. As a matter of fact, since we've been sitting here for the last 2 hours, I dealt with 2 citizen complaints that I will have to follow up on. Gladly so, because, citizens feel that they can contact me. They can contact me through email, they can contact me through my phone number, and the reason why they feel they can contact me is they know that I will do my best to solve the issue that they're contacting me about. I have that reputation. I had that reputation in state legislature. I have that reputation here on City Council. My life is public service. This is what I do. This is what I love to do. And this is one of the reasons why I am running for City Council. And there are a lot of ways I can serve the public not on City Council, but being able to do it from the seat of City Council gives me just that little bit more leverage to make sure that the city is focused on the issues that are important to every single citizen in this city. I'm bothered by the idea that people are saying we're a rubber stamp. They obviously, they're not in the rooms behind closed doors, because I tell you, discussions get very heated with this City Council. This City Council is not a rubber stamp. But what we do is we communicate with each other and we respectfully disagree with each other. So I will continue to fight for every citizen. I will continue to fight for a fair and balanced budget. I will continue to fight to make sure that everybody gets their dollar's worth of tax dollars, and I will continue to fight to make sure that this city has its eye on the future, a vision of the future that is going to be a great Sterling Heights on into the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Eric, your final thoughts. 2 minutes, please. Oh, excuse me. I'm so sorry, Barbara. I'm so sorry. 2 minutes. Barbara, your final thoughts.
Okay.
Sorry, Barb.
10 extra seconds on that. Okay. Throughout my years on City Council, I believe that the commonality in any year has been patience, teamwork, and cooperation. If we look at our accomplishments as a community, it really goes without saying that we are constantly competing against ourselves to be better. We've earned the right to brag about population growth, exceptional bond rating, low tax and water rates, safety and quality of life amenities. We learned in the last year that public safety means more than police and fire personnel. Our public health was at risk through a pandemic, and we immediately set up protocols and opened vaccination centers to keep our community safe and healthy. We work in partnership with service organizations, religious groups, businesses, large and small, to create an environment where everyone feels like they're a piece of a bigger picture, our city, which we all call home. We were successful in accomplishing our goal to be counted in the 2020 census. With a return percentage of 85%, we were the second highest count in the country in our population category. I have continually said that the city of Sterling Heights is our collective investment. Protecting our collective investment is and always will be a priority for me. I'm proud of our accomplishments. I'm proud of our city employees. I'm proud of our residents who understand what it means to be a part of the solution. After serving this community for 20 years, I'm not going to try to reinvent myself. I know that residents have paid attention to my actions while working on their behalf. I've asked you to vote for me because I believe that my continued service, support, and dedication to our city and its residents have proven that I am a leader who can work together with others and make the tough decisions in the best interest of all residents, in the best interest of our collective investment. I am a trusted, dedicated, experienced leader asking for your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. Sorry we almost left you behind there. Eric, now it's your turn.
Thank you. I'd like to start out by thanking the City of Sterling Heights Chamber of Commerce and the viewers watching here tonight and the volunteers who helped me get to this point, because I could not have done it without them. My job, when elected, will be to represent you, not represent me. You will tell me what your thoughts and needs and desires are, and I will bring them up to the council. This is not about me. This is about us. It's about the community. This, in my experience over the past few months, talking to different people, they feel they've lost their voice at City Hall. I hope to bring that back. That's my goal. This is our community, and they don't feel they're being heard. There's all kinds of issues. There's all kinds of things going on. So that's just my goal. Continue to support our wonderful community, but I want to support and represent the residents of this city. This job is for you. It's not just for me. I don't need this job. I want this job, and I want this job to do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Russ, your closing statements. 2 minutes, please.
Yeah. So, Tom, thank you again for this, and thank you to the Sterling Heights Regional Chamber of Commerce, as well as Sterling Heights TV. Like I stated before, I think something like this is necessary to make sure the citizens have an opportunity to take a look at everything that we have to offer as candidates and our opinions, our ideas for the city. But at the end of the day, you know, I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm not a politician. I'm not a polished speaker. I think that's fairly obvious. And I'd be lying to, look at the cameras and say that. And I'd be lying if I said that I had all of the remedies and all the perfect ideas. But at the end of the day, what I can promise is hard work for our city and sacrifice. That at the end of the day, what I will do is work hard for you. And that's the thing. So if any of my constituents, any of my neighbors, any family, no matter what, come to me with an issue, I will see it through. You know, we don't have to see eye to eye. We don't have to come from the same walk of life. We don't have to, you know, have the same ideas. It's just, I will be there for you no matter what. And, you know, whether that's a side road that needs to be repaired in a neighborhood or even neglected, like the neglected catwalk near Moravian Park. At the end of the day, I am here for the citizens and not for myself. So again, my name is Russ Cleary, and I'm a candidate for Sterling Heights City Council.
Thank you. Your closing statements, Elizabeth.
Well, I am grateful for the opportunity to introduce myself to Sterling Heights community. I have skills, knowledge, determination, and time to make improvements happen. One of my goals is to bring transparency to the City Hall. And I am new to it, so I look at everything differently. So today, I would like to focus on two elements of that goal: the information flow to residents and honest communication. The new council must give more consideration and more respect for the average citizen. Here is the example. At city council meetings, many times the statement is made, we already talked about it, so let's move on and vote. The individuals like me who occasionally watch the city council meetings, they don't know what the council was voting for. Will some people watch again? I don't know. And then there is an issue of speaking arrangement, consent agenda, availability of documents and data. And here is the second example. Many of you have seen the signs at the road construction. And the point with city council and other officials on it, the point is, no matter where the money came from, the city, the county, the state, or federal government, all this money are taxpayer money. So the sign should say, thank you to the taxpayers. So that's my opinion. And I still have time. There was all timed. So I also want to say that after looking at the financial disclosures of some candidates, I decided not to accept any donations because I cannot see myself facing somebody that would tell me, oh, remember I gave you money, so now you have to vote certain way.
You can finish your final thought.
Yeah. I promise to make decisions in the best interest of the whole community, and I hope citizens will give me that chance. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. And the final, your final thoughts, Deanna. 2 minutes, please.
Just 2 minutes.
We've been a little lenient.
Thank you. The city is constantly changing, and I believe in setting goals, planning for the future, learning new technology. I believe in keeping the city the safest city with good roads, excellent police and fire services, EMS, DPW services. I believe in safe, beautiful neighborhoods. I want to expand senior services as to their needs, parks and recreation activities for all ages, continue to attract new businesses with good paying jobs. We're going to be introducing a new program to reduce water billing. I am proud of our city and hope to continue to be part of our projects planned for the future, especially the planning of the spending of the $19 million. I hope the residents will allow me to continue serving for another term. Thank you, Tim, and the Chamber for holding this forum so that the residents have the opportunity to meet the candidates for their future council. And I'd like to add a PS here. I understand that the raise that was talked about today doesn't go into effect until the new council is seated. Thank you.
Thank you. That today completes our candidate forum. I'd, of course, again, like to thank Sterling Heights Television and Community Relations for helping us put this event on and recording it so the voters can see and learn about our candidates. They'll be airing it at future dates in case anyone missed it live. As far as our candidates here, on behalf of the Chamber, we thank you for your willingness to serve, and on behalf of the citizens, they thank you as well. I wish all of you the best of luck coming up in the upcoming election, and I encourage everyone to be sure to vote on November 2nd. Thank you, and good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.